Hello and welcome to the IDEM Interactions. Today, the IDEM is interacting with Saeed Naqvi, the world-renowned journalist, a specialist on international and national affairs. And in recent years, he has been focusing on the communal polarization in India and how it impacts all communities, but especially the minority community. There's a special context to the interaction that we have with Syed Saab today. The Popular Front of India, an organization considered to be having extremist Islamist views, an organization which is accused of being jihadist in nature, has been banned by the Union Government of India. This ban came up yesterday. And along with it, all the front organizations of the PFI, that's the Popular Front of India, have been banned. And the organization in response has dismantled itself. At the same time, the campus front, the youth, the student wing of the organization, they have decided to appeal to the court against the ban. Syed Saab, as somebody who has been observing the developments in the society, and especially between the communal polarization that's been developing, how do you look at this whole situation?
Venkatesh, the atmosphere at the moment in the country is rife with Hindu-Muslim distrust, is rife with communalism, is at this particular juncture, normally, in normal times, one would have gone along with the government's version, with the government's description of a group being terrorist or being jihadist or being... Moreover, I think at the moment, I'm presenting myself as a metaphor for a certain members of the community. I would ask, what is a jihadist? When you say allegedly jihadist, what is jihadist? Do you know? Do the cops know? Do the intelligence agencies know? What is jihadist? Al-Qaeda was jihadist. Are these Al-Qaeda? Are they went and blew up the Twin Towers, and even that has not been totally proved. It's a very peculiar story that Muhammad Shah Massoud, who of the Panjshir Valley, he had gone to Europe and to a European parliament. He had said, look, I'm hearing buzz that something big is likely to happen on the American mainland. He said this. Right. And there's total silence on that. Just 4 days before that. And later he came back and he was finished by Islamists. Now they were jihadists, those who killed him. What are these people doing? Is there an evidence, is there some body of evidence that you, Venkatesh, as a journalist of great renown, I respect you as somebody who doesn't write from the couch. I know how much you travel. I have traveled with you. So without traveling, without empirical data, how do we say anything? And as I said, I would go along with the government totally in normal times. At the moment, there is a suspicion in the community that the government is out for me. The government is out to get us. Therefore, this, whatever has happened, has to be explained. Moreover, I'll be very honest. I don't know what the genesis of the Popular Front is. I do not know whether they were the same who were in touch with Aceh. If you remember, Aceh in Indonesia had a very strong Islamist movement, and so on. I do not know. So we have to have more. Over in recent years, Venkatesh, a culture has developed which is also which has invaded our media space also. There is a certain kind of a journalist who the intelligence agencies, not at the top level, but at the operational level, at a very low operational level, interact with, plant stories, and so on. There the culture has grown. Now, I do not know. I can't make any allegation, but I do believe that there are many questions to be asked.
Yeah, of course, these questions have to be answered. And there is also the factor that you talked about the growing communal polarization, the distrust factor between the Hindus and the Muslims. This is growing. And there is a kind of thesis that is being built around this sudden and stringent action against the PFI. There are people who believe that that the ideological leaders of the current government, the Narendra Modi-led government, which of course includes the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh and its accomplice organizations, they want to kind of have another instrument, another tool to aggravate the communal polarization in this country, especially in the background of the economic crisis that the country is facing, the kind of price rise that people are facing, and the kind of general distrust that has come, disillusion that has come, that has become very strong among the people on the question of unemployment. So, what do you think of this thesis that this is a kind of political tool?
There's another dimension, Venkatesh. You see, in Delhi, for instance, in Delhi, in Batla House area, Batla House was in the news, the very area where you had the Shaheen Bagh, the very area where you have the Jamia, in that complex. Do you know that there is there's a curfew until the 17th of November? In other words, for 2 months, this place where Muslims live in Delhi is going to be under curfew for 2 months. Now, this is why, what for what guilt, what fear? Show us the evidence. Now, they say this is national security. We can't prove it. We can't prove it to you. We can't show you the evidence. But there is something we have. Now, you are stumped. You're finished. Time was when these kind of stories were related to Kashmir. There were Kashmir-oriented, there was Lashkar-e-Tayyaba, and there was after the Mujahideen had pushed out the Soviets from Afghanistan, 89, a whole lot of problems had arisen in Kashmir because the spare jihadi talent that the Americans had left behind.
Right.
Americans had left behind there, found work. They were Americans picked up their bags and left. And then they came into Kashmir, then they went to Cairo, Egypt, they went to Algeria, and then they were resurrected for the action in Syria, which began in 2011. So therefore, there's a huge problem there. Now, this particular thing, I do not know for the life of me. My own impression is, and I may be wrong. You are from Kerala, I'm not. I'm a great admirer of Kerala. I find that the most liberal, the most tolerant piece of real estate. There are problems. And that is where you have the most secure Muslims. I mean, I have written for a paper called the Madhyamam, and I've gone and addressed meeting there, one meeting. I found them super confident, very secular, very much part of very Muslim, very much part of the national ethos. Now, are they trying to hit at pockets where Muslims are secure, as they are in the old Malabar area? Is that the idea? Because that is where seems to be the main body of the Popular Front.
Organization. Yeah, yeah.
Are they going to move then to Tamil Nadu, where there's a lot of money in the leather industry, where multi-billionaires are there who are Muslims? Are they going to say, well, now let's move in there? Are they locating and identifying Muslims where Muslims are prosperous, where Muslims are secure, where they have, where in fact they have made some money maybe out of Gulf, out of the interaction with Gulf? I have no idea. I'm only guessing. You see, this is the game that has been started. Another thing, Venkatesh, sorry, I should not be talking so much.
No. But basically, what you're trying to say, it's a very complex situation where
Yeah.
there seem to be a lot of hidden factors at play, and
Yeah.
one do not.
Factors which you and I do not know.
So yeah, that's
If you do know, then speak about them.
yeah. No, I do not know. But the point is, there is another significant view among the Muslim intelligentsia in Kerala and in some parts of Uttar Pradesh as well. I was trying to get a couple of more people to be part of this discussion today. I was talking to a legal person based in Lucknow. He is, of course, very closely following many of these cases, but he refused to come to the program, saying that from the strict legal point of view, I think that the PFI is to be blamed, and I have taken a position against them in many cases. So I cannot be part of a discussion like this where I cannot pretend that I'm a neutral person. That is one stream of opinion. The other stream of opinion, which I heard 2 days ago in Kerala, from a very senior, very senior intellectual, Muslim intellectual, and along with him there was a young Muslim intellectual who teaches in Delhi. Both of them said that organizations like the PFI and the kind of violent actions that they carried out during a hartal recently, these are counterproductive to any sort of Muslim resistance, including in questions like the CIA. So that's also another factor which is playing very strongly and very prominently among the Muslim community.
You see, there is any Muslim organization which is into violence has got to be condemned. And their violence has to be condemned. But for them to be painted as a jihadist organization, I need evidence. But if they are jihadists, they have to be banned. If they are terrorists, they have to be banned. But there's another factor. There's a north-south divide. You will have a different approach in the north, and you'll have a different approach in the south. And I dare say you may have a different approach in the northeast and in West Bengal. You may. In this Hindi belt, in this Hindi where this Hindutva is at its peak, that is not in evidence as far as the South and Bengal and the Northeast are concerned. So this is in the 8 or 9 states of the Hindi belt, where this kind of fear, people are afraid to talk because they may be picked up, you see. And in this particular case, you do not know. I mean, the lady you quoted, I do not know whose side to take. So I'm taking no sides. I am a journalist who believes that the truth must prevail. If the state is right, full strength to it. But if the PFI is being attacked because being Muslim, then they need to be protected. I like to imagine that the evidence is not there. You talked about one hartal incident. Can you cite others?
Well, no, I mean, in fact, it is not as though other political organizations in Kerala have not had similarly violent hartals. It's not as though...
No, I mean, one can turn around and say, what about the Dharam Sanshad? What about the... No, are we going to establish that anything that is Hindu does no wrong. Our minister, who is the most visible minister in the cabinet, says Goli maro salon ko. He's there.
Yeah.
Now he can get away with it. But I can't get away by saying भाई इनके एक थप्पड़ मार दो, पकड़ लो इसको. ये जो है, this differentiation has got to be established and fought.
We need to, I think that it is also the duty
There
of
is yet another dimension, and that is very interesting. The day the PFI, they are saying 250 and how many, heaven knows how many they are really. The day it happened is precisely the day when Mr. Mohan Bhagwat visited a mosque and a madrasa in Delhi. Is precisely the day when Mr. Najib Jung, former Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Mr. S.Y. Qureshi, former Election Commissioner, Shahid Siddiqui, a busybody journalist who brings out an Urdu newspaper, Mr. Saeed Sherwani, a gentleman hotelier, but his hotels happen to be in Yogi Adityanath's area, and a general, Zahiruddin Shah, who says things which you may or may not take all that seriously. But these people have gone and met him. There's a huge propaganda being made out of it. These stories do not get this kind of currency unless there's a signal from somewhere. If the media is controlled, then it is controlled. So you have a whole lot of stories about them, and themselves are writing edit page articles, and the peace is breaking out. Hindu-Muslim amity is breaking out. This is the same day, PFI, are you therefore, is this the forked tongue? Is this in two tongues? Or this has to be established, because exactly the day, precisely to the T, the day Mohan Bhagwat visited a madrasa, remarkable act, and a mosque of run by a somewhat behind whom I would not say my namaz, Maulana Ilyasi, but the people have views on him which are not very palatable, and he is a great favorite of theirs. He's a great favorite of the Israelis. He's a great favorite of all those that Muslims are generally averse to. Maybe he's a very good chap. I don't know. But he visited his mosque. Who called him the Desh Ka Neta? Then he visited a madrasa. And usi din, you are arresting 2,500 PFI.
What I hear from some Hindutva-oriented theorists in Uttar Pradesh itself is that the Sangh plank now is to create a differentiation between a Muslim who is devoted to the country and a Muslim who is a jihadist traitor. So this differentiation is what is being played out in the PF action against the PFI and in the overtures that Mohan Bhagwat has made to the Muslim community. So what is your take on something like that?
So therefore, I'm not acceptable because I'm not with the PFI, and nor am I acceptable because I'm not part of the delegation that went to Mohan Bhagwat. So where do I stand? Am I this huge, wide space in the middle, which is where most Indians and Indian Muslims are? The very interesting things are happening in that conversation with Mohan Bhagwat. In fact, I was just going through an interview that I did with Bhav Rao Deras in 1990, which is part of my book. It is a full 2-hour interview with him, in which various things have been discussed, and I would like you to give the link to that interview. Your viewers may
Yeah,
like to read
we will
it
do that. Yeah, yeah.
because it's an interesting interview. And he said, why do you, Mohan Bhagwat told Qureshi and this other interlocutors who went there, why do you call us kafirs?
Okay.
We don't like it.
Hmm.
So someone said, why do you call us Pakistanis?
Hmm.
So no, so that is easily settled.
Hmm.
That is very easily settled.
Hmm.
Kafir means a non-believer.
Hmm.
But there's a huge body of poetry in Urdu,
Right.
in which they say, who the hell are you to call anybody kafir? Are you the only one who is on the righteous side? Everybody else on the wrong side? The poetry. I'm not reciting it because your viewers may not understand it.
Right.
But but there is literature available against this. I have never understood, Venkatesh, why our politicians and why our intelligentsia identifies Indian Muslims with the mullah who has been berated and criticized down the line in the body of poetry in Urdu, where there is not any one line in praise of the mullah. He is chastised right through, but they don't turn to the poet. No one cites Ghalib to me. No one cites Momin to me. No one cites all these great poets who are nationalists. Ram Prasad Bismil was a nationalist whose song is still sung as a song of patriotism. All these people, why does the Indian intelligentsia do a little homework? Acquaint yourself with the poets of the community you are berating. In the north, in the south, it is a different picture altogether because they are much more secure by my reckoning. I mean, I lay a bet. Let them try and impose a 2-month curfew in Malabar. I defy them.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
can't.
I don't think it's possible. It's possible. I don't think it's possible.
But you have done it in Jamia Millia area, Batla House area, Shahi Bagh area. You've done it. So you've got these captive people you can play with, but try with the Labbais in Tamil Nadu. Try with Kilakrai Muslims in Ramanathapuram, who used to manage all your black market in Southeast Asia until the other day. So therefore, there is a differentiation not only between Hindus and Muslims, but between Muslims and Muslims.
Yeah, that's exactly the point that I'm talking about.
That is the interesting one.
Yeah. So basically, the accentuation or the aggravation of this difference between Muslims and Muslims, I think, is being talked about as a possible political target of the Sangh Parivar in its future course of action. But there is also the argument at one level that the Sangh itself, the RSS itself, grew from strength to strength after it was banned twice. First after Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, and then later recently after the demolition of Babri Masjid. So the argument is that, that the PFI's political organization, the SDPI, the Social Democratic Party of India, has not been banned because, you require the Election Commission's clearance to ban a political organization. So the argument, one argument that I'm hearing is that, that the SDPI may become stronger and it may get some validation in mainstream politics in days to come. But that is something which we have to see in the days to come. But as you very rightly pointed out, it's a complex situation, and the average Muslim or the average Indian who does not support the PFI and who has got doubts about the motives of the government they are in a white space which can't be really categorized.
There's another aspect which is surprising. Namely, after the Ukraine war, in the context of the Ukraine war, India, for the first time in a very long period, is on a very sweet spot. We are on a very sweet spot. We can bargain this side and we can bargain this side. Both want us, because this war is not about Ukraine. It is about the international order, whether the hegemon remains the hegemon or whether the hegemony is shared and we become a multi-layered multi-layered.
Yeah.
You know, where we are not just, it's not just bipolar, it's a multipolarity.
Yeah.
Enters the proceedings. That is the jhagda. That is the precise jhagda. We are at a sweet spot. Now, we can bargain with who we like. And we must say, we have a wonderful, very, very brilliant foreign minister in Jaishankar. He is managing it so nimbly and so well, given his own predilections, into which we will not go, but he's managing it beautifully. Now, at this time, when the world is it is your turn to become a big power. You can, but when the international human rights body says you are 160th in the world order, when every human rights index is against you, when all the unemployment indices are against you, when you have to pull up your socks there. I see Mr. Mohan Bhagwat's effort in trying to refurbish that image. That image will have to be refurbished if we are to be the power that we at the moment are positioned to be. But in the course of which, if you are going to carry on this, what you call divide and polarization politics, then it is not going to reflect well on you. But I dare say, maybe there's the horizon, the sun is rising there, because it's 2024. After that, maybe there is another dawn.
Let us see what happens, Syed Saab. I think you have summed it up beautifully with an international perspective. And on that note, we will end this discussion, but we will continue to come back to you on various other topics on a regular basis. Once again, thank you for being associated with IDEM as its chief content advisor. Thank you, and we'll conclude this conversation here.
Thank you very much, Venkatesh.